Deep space was usually silent in a way that felt empty and harmless. Light from distant stars drifted without purpose, and most ships passed through without stopping or even slowing. The monitoring station at the edge of the Coalition border had existed for decades without seeing anything truly new. Its duty was simple: watch, record, warn. Most days, nothing happened. That changed when the long-range sensors began to scream, the station's central chamber filled with sharp tones and flashing symbols. Officers rushed to their posts, disbelief clear on their faces. A massive object had appeared far beyond the normal travel lanes. It was not emerging from a jump point. It was already there, drifting slowly, as if it had always belonged to the darkness. Jihan stood near the main display, hands clasped behind his back. He was a Korean male assigned as a liaison officer between the alien coalition and several younger species. His face stayed calm, but his eyes narrowed as the data streamed in. The object was large. Too large. Bigger than any single warship the coalition had ever built. At first glance, the vessel looked crude. Its hull was thick and blocky, without the smooth curves favored by most spacefaring races. No bright markings. No decorative lights. It looked less like a symbol of pride and more like a tool. Engineer Era moved closer to the console beside him. She was a Korean female known for her quiet nature and sharp thinking. Her fingers moved fast as she adjusted the sensor filters. "It is not debris," she said softly. "And it is not dead." Several officers argued around them. Some believed it was an ancient wreck. Others claimed it was a mobile fortress left behind by a long-fallen empire. A few suggested it could be bait. Jihan said nothing yet. He watched the power readings. The energy output was stable, controlled. The ship was not damaged. It was resting. Era frowned as new data appeared. "The armor density is extreme," she said. "Layered plating. Multiple types. I cannot identify all materials." The station commander demanded threat estimates. Weapons analysis teams worked in panic. Every scan returned the same result. The unknown ship carried more firepower than a full coalition fleet. Yet its weapon ports were sealed. Its engines were quiet. It was not hunting. It was waiting. The realization spread through the chamber like cold air. Silence followed. Then the signal arrived. A narrow beam transmission locked onto the station. It did not overload systems or force entry. It requested permission. Jihan straightened. "Open it," he said. The display shifted. Text appeared first, written in basic trade. Code: short, direct, clear. Unknown. Vessel identified as human deep space warship. Purpose: long range. Patrol. Intent: maintain balance. No hostile. Action unless provoked. The word human echoed through the chamber. Most officers had only heard the name in minor trade reports. A young species from a distant region. Durable. Adaptive. Usually underestimated. They were not known for grand fleets or dominant empires. Era whispered, "This cannot be real." Jihan did not respond right away. He requested deeper translation layers. More data followed, now including visual markers and technical identifiers. The codes were consistent. The language patterns were disciplined. Military. The humans were real. And so was the ship. Coalition. Command was notified immediately. Orders came back to observe only. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Learn. As the station continued scanning, more details emerged. The hull showed signs of repeated combat repairs. Not decorative patches, but functional reinforcement. Every damaged section had been rebuilt stronger than before. This ship had survived battles. Era studied the engine readings. "The propulsion system bends local space," she said. "Not tearing it, controlling it." I have never seen this level of stability. Jihan finally spoke. They learned through struggle. She looked at him. You sound certain. He nodded slowly. Only those who expect resistance build like this. Hours passed. The human warship did not move closer. It did not retreat. It simply remained present, like a weight pressing on the minds of everyone watching. Then a second transmission request appeared. This time, it asked for a live channel. Coalition command hesitated, but fear of ignorance was stronger than fear of contact. Permission was granted. The screen shifted again. A human face appeared. He looked ordinary. Medium height. Dark hair, calm eyes. He wore a simple uniform with no bright symbols. His posture was straight, his expression neutral. This is Commander Taesiok of the human warship, he said. His voice was steady, translated smoothly into trade speech. We have detected your observation station. We acknowledge your presence. Jihan stepped forward as acting liaison. You are within Coalition-monitored space, he replied. Your vessel exceeds all known classifications. State your long-term intent. Taesiok inclined his head slightly. Our intent is deterrence. We patrol regions where conflict often begins. We do not claim territory. We prevent escalation. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Aira whispered, prevent escalation with that? Taesiok continued, as if he understood the doubt. For many cycles, humanity was considered weak. We were tested, pressured, attacked. Each time we survived. Each time we learned. This vessel is the result of that learning. Jihan studied him carefully. There was no pride in the words. No threat. Only fact. Why reveal yourselves now? Jihan asked. Because hiding invites misunderstanding, Taesiok said. And misunderstanding leads to war. The answer unsettled many listeners. Coalition Command requested weapon transparency. Taesiok refused politely. We will demonstrate restraint through action, not diagrams, he said. The channel closed shortly after. The unknown warship powered down most visible systems again. It returned to silence, but nothing felt quiet anymore. Jihan looked at the stars beyond the station viewport. He understood the history had shifted. A single human ship had entered the story of the galaxy, not with fire, but with presence. Aira saved her data logs carefully. Her hands trembled despite herself. If this is only one ship, she said, what else exists? Jihan did not answer. Far away, the human warship drifted like a shadow made of steel. Inside its hull, systems watched everything. Not with hunger, not with fear, but with readiness. The galaxy had just learned that humans were no longer asking to be noticed. The unknown warship remained where it was, unmoving, for an entire cycle. No engines flared. No weapons charged. Yet every sensor in the region stayed focused on it. Traffic slowed across nearby lanes, as civilian captains chose longer routes rather than pass close to the silent giant. Within the Coalition command ship, tension grew heavier with each passing hour. Emergency councils were formed. Old treaties were reviewed. Military leaders argued over possibilities that had never existed before. One human vessel had forced them to question every assumption they held about power. Jihan was summoned to the main council chamber. The circular room was filled with representatives of many species. Their forms and colors varied, their voices sharp with fear and anger. He took his place at the center platform, posture straight, face controlled. They cannot be allowed to stay, one representative hissed. A single ship with such power threatens all balance. They have done nothing hostile, another replied. Fear is not proof of intent. Jihan listened until the room quieted. They announced themselves, he said. They did not ambush us. They did not advance. They chose visibility. And why should that comfort us? a military delegate demanded. Because those who plan conquest do not warn first. Jihan answered. The debate continued without resolution. In the end, Coalition Command approved a controlled diplomatic approach. A small delegation would move closer to the human warship under strict observation. No weapons would be armed openly. Any aggressive signal would end talks immediately. Era was assigned to the delegation as a technical observer. When Jihan informed her, she hesitated only a moment before agreeing. Curiosity overcame fear. Their vessel approached slowly, engines tuned to non-threatening levels. As they closed the distance, the scale of the human ship became clearer. Its hull was scarred, not damaged, like skin that had healed after deep wounds. Massive structures ran along its sides, housing systems too dense to fully scan. Era's breath caught. This ship was built to survive alone, she said quietly. No support. No retreat. Jihan nodded. Humans plan for isolation. A docking signal appeared, precise and calm. The human ship guided them in with flawless control. No pressure fluctuations. No turbulence. Everything was measured inside the human vessel. The delegation was met by Commander Tae-seok and Captain Hae-in. Hae-in was a Korean female with sharp eyes and a composed presence. Her movements were economical, her gaze observant. "Welcome aboard," she said. "You are under no threat." The corridors were wide and reinforced, built for efficiency rather than beauty. Every surface showed signs of careful use. Nothing was wasted. Era noticed the crew. Human men and women moved with quiet confidence. They did not stare. They did not posture. They acknowledged the delegation and continued their duties. In the command chamber, a transparent display showed surrounding space. Tactical data flowed in steady streams. The human ship was tracking everything. Tae-seok invited Jihan to sit. "We understand your concern," he said. "You see strength and assume danger." Jihan met his gaze. "Strength without explanation creates fear." "That is fair," Tae-seok replied. "Then allow us to explain our history." He spoke of early human expansion, of encounters with stronger species, of treaties broken and borders ignored. He did not dramatize events. He stated them plainly. "We learned that goodwill alone does not protect you," he said. "So we adapted." Era asked about the ship's purpose. "Why build something this extreme?" she asked. Hae-in answered. "Because deterrence only works if it is unquestionable." The words settled heavily. During the discussion, Coalition sensors detected new arrivals at the edge of the system. A foreign fleet, armed, uninvited. The atmosphere changed instantly. Jihan stiffened. "They are not Coalition aligned," he said. "They have a history of forced inspections." Tae-seok's expression did not change. "We are aware," he said. "They have been following our patrol." Era looked at him sharply. "You knew they were coming?" "Yes," Tae-seok replied. "This is why we chose this location." Outside, the hostile fleet moved into attack formation. Their commander transmitted a demand for the human ship to power down and submit. Coalition Command urged caution. They ordered all parties to disengage. The hostile fleet ignored them. Weapon locks appeared across the tactical display. Era's hands clenched. She could feel the pressure building. The moment before violence. Jihan turned to Tae-seok. "If you respond with force, this will change everything." Tae-seok nodded once. "We know." He opened a channel to the hostile commander. "Withdraw," he said simply. "This is your only warning." Laughter filled the channel. The enemy believed the human ship was bluffing. The first shots were fired. They struck the human warship shields and vanished. Not absorbed violently. Not deflected. Simply nullified. Tae-seok raised a hand. "Single countermeasure," he ordered. The human ship responded. A focused pulse of energy swept through the hostile fleet. Not explosive. Not lethal. Every enemy vessel lost power simultaneously. Engines died. Weapons went dark. Control systems froze. Silence followed. Hera stared at the display in shock. "They are disabled," she whispered. "All of them." Jihan felt a chill. No chaos. No debris. Total Control.T-SEOK opened a channel again. "You may retreat once emergency power restores," he said. "Do not return." The channel closed. Coalition observers were stunned. No one spoke for several moments. Hei turned to Jihan. "This is why we exist," she said. "To end fights before they become wars." As emergency power slowly returned to the hostile fleet, they withdrew without another word. The human ship powered down its weapons again. Balance had been enforced. Jihan understood now. Humanity did not dominate through destruction. They dominated through certainty. Hera recorded every detail. Her fear had changed into something else. Respect. As the delegation prepared to depart, Taesiok spoke one final time. "Spread the truth," he said. "We do not seek fear, but we will accept it if it prevents bloodshed." Their ship undocked and pulled away. Behind them, the human warship returned to silent watch. The galaxy had just seen proof, and it would never forget. News of the disabled fleet spread faster than any official report. Merchant captains whispered about it at trade stations. Military analysts argued in sealed rooms. No footage showed explosions or wreckage. There were no bodies drifting in space. Only recordings of entire warships going dark at once. Fear changed shape. Some called the human ship merciful. Others called it terrifying. Coalition command increased security across all borders. Patrols doubled. Messages were sent to distant allies. Many responses carried the same question. Was there more than one human warship? Jihan remained aboard the command ship, serving as advisor. He noticed how officers spoke differently now. Voices were lower. Decisions were slower and more careful. The presence of humans had introduced doubt into every plan. Hera was requested again by coalition science leaders. They wanted answers she did not fully have. She explained the systems she observed, the layered design, the controlled power output. "This ship is not built to overwhelm," she said. "It is built to endure." That worried them even more. Days later, a new signal appeared. This one did not come from the human warship. An allied outpost near the outer rim was under threat. A regional power, emboldened by past victories, had begun seizing stations and demanding tribute. They ignored coalition warnings. They believed the human ship was an isolated anomaly. Coalition command debated intervention. Their fleets were scattered. Response time would be slow. And the human warship moved without announcement. Its engines flared softly, bending space in smooth waves. It did not jump. It traveled directly, faster than any known drive could sustain. Observers struggled to track it. Jihan felt a tightening in his chest. "They are choosing to act," he said. Hera watched the data streams. "They could arrive before the attackers finish forming," she replied. The human ship arrived at the threatened outpost, while the hostile fleet was still broadcasting demands. Its sudden appearance silenced every channel. The attackers reacted with confusion. Some tried to flee. Others powered weapons in panic. Transmission opened. "This territory is under coalition protection," Commander Taesiok said. "Withdraw immediately." The hostile commander refused. Pride outweighed survival. The human warship did not repeat itself. It deployed defensive screens around the outpost, wide and precise. Incoming fire struck the barrier and vanished. No energy spike. No backlash. Then the human ship advanced. It did not fire broadly. It targeted engines. control nodes, communication arrays. Each strike was measured, each result exact. Within minutes, the attacking fleet was immobilized. No ships were destroyed. The outposts survived untouched. Across coalition space, reactions split sharply. Some leaders praised the humans openly. Others accused them of overreach. A few began secret talks about uniting against humanity before more ships appeared. Jihan sensed the shift. They fear what they cannot challenge, he said to Hera. And what they cannot control, she replied. Coalition Command requested formal talks aboard the human warship. This time, the request carried respect. The meeting took place in a larger chamber than before. Displays showed multiple systems at once. Taeseok stood at the center with Hei-In beside him. We did not intend to become a symbol, Taeseok said. But symbols form whether you wish them to or not. A coalition representative accused humans of acting without consent. Hei-In responded calmly. Consent was ignored by the attackers, she said. We restored balance. Jihan supported her. If you had arrived first, you would have done the same, he said. Silence followed. Taeseok addressed the larger issue. We know some of you are considering resistance, he said. You fear domination. We fear extinction, a representative answered. That fear shaped us as well, Taeseok said. Humans were nearly erased more than once. That is why we built ships like this. Not to rule, to ensure we cannot be erased again. Hera listened closely. She realized the truth. This warship was not a threat by nature. It was a response. Later, she was granted limited access to a core systems archive. She saw records of early human losses. Colonies abandoned. Fleets destroyed. Treaties broken. Each failure had led to refinement. Each loss had sharpened resolve. Humans did not forget. They adapted. Outside the ship, unknown to most, movement began elsewhere. A coalition of fearful powers started assembling a force in secret. They believed overwhelming numbers could succeed where single fleets failed. Jihan received fragments of this intelligence. His concern grew. If they strike, he warned, there will be no misunderstanding left. Taeseok nodded. We are preparing. Will you destroy them? Jihan asked. No, Taeseok said. We will end the idea that attacking us is possible. The words carried weight. As weeks passed, the human warship continued its patrols. Conflict zones quieted. Pirates vanished. Border skirmishes ceased. Silence followed wherever the ship appeared. Hera updated her reports. Her conclusions were simple. Humanity had achieved something rare. Absolute deterrence without chaos. Then the secret fleet was revealed. Hundreds of ships emerged together. Weapons hot, formations tight. They broadcast a unified message demanding the human warship withdraw from Coalition. Space forever. Coalition Command panicked. Some urged surrender. Others begged the humans to flee. Taeseok watched the formation calmly. They are afraid, he said. This is fear made loud. The human ship did not retreat. It moved forward. Power rose across its hull, controlled and steady. Space bent harder around it. Systems reached levels no alien design could sustain. Chi-Han held his breath. The human warship transmitted one message. This is your final warning. The hostile coalition fired. What followed was not a battle. It was a lesson. The human ship unleashed a layered response. Defensive fields absorbed the barrage. Counterpulses rippled outward, disrupting formations, blinding sensors, freezing command networks. One by one, enemy ships lost cohesion. Within moments, the massive fleet was helpless. No explosions, no screams. Only silence. The human ship remained untouched. Taeseok ordered a cease action. Allow them to withdraw, he said. The hostile coalition did not hesitate. They fled in disorder, as systems slowly recovered. Across the galaxy, certainty formed. Humanity could not be challenged by force. Jihan felt both relief and dread. The future had narrowed. Choices were fewer now. Era looked out at the stars. They did not conquer, she said. They convinced. The human warship powered down once more and resumed its patrol. Balance had been enforced, again, and the galaxy was running out of excuses to ignore humanity. After the failed assault, the galaxy grew quieter than it had ever been. Trade lanes reopened. Border alarms stopped sounding. Even the most aggressive factions withdrew their patrols and focused inward. It was not peace born from trust. It was peace born from understanding limits. The human warship continued its patrol, moving slowly from system to system. Wherever it appeared, conflict faded. Some worlds welcomed it openly. Others watched from a distance, afraid to invite attention. None challenged it again. Jihan traveled frequently now, acting as an intermediary between the coalition and humanity. His role had changed. He was no longer a simple liaison. He was a bridge holding two very different ways of thinking together. Era received an invitation that surprised her. Commander Tae Seok requested her presence aboard the human ship for extended observation. Coalition Command hesitated, but finally agreed. Knowledge had become more valuable than caution. When Era boarded again, she felt less fear and more curiosity. The ship felt familiar now, not because it was gentle, but because it was honest. Nothing pretended to be harmless. H.A. Ian guided her through deeper sections of the vessel. "You have seen the surface," she said. "Now you should understand the reason." They entered a chamber lined with records. Not trophies, not banners, names, dates. Coordinates. Era realized these were losses. Colonies, Hayen said. Outposts, fleets, civilian ships. Era's voice was quiet. "You remember all of them." "We must," Hayen replied. "Forgetting is how it happens again." Era studied the records. Many were marked by failed treaties, promises ignored by stronger powers. Humanity had trusted first and paid for it. "This ship," Era said slowly, "was built from grief." "Yes," Hayen answered, "and from resolve." Meanwhile, Jihan attended a coalition council session, unlike any before. Fear had softened into acceptance. Leaders spoke of new doctrines, defensive reforms, revised rules of engagement. One representative asked the question none had voiced openly. "Are humans now the highest power?" Jihan considered his answer carefully. "Power is not only measured by force," he said. "It is measured by the ability to choose restraint." The council fell silent. Across the region, small conflicts ended quietly. Pirate groups disbanded. Border raids stopped. The idea of provoking humanity had lost all appeal. On the human warship, Era spent days studying systems under supervision. She learned that redundancy was layered beyond necessity. Every system had backups. Every backup had alternatives. Failure was expected, planned for, and neutralized. "Humans assume something will go wrong," she said. Tae Seok nodded. "Because it always does." She asked him directly, "Why only one ship?" He met her gaze. "There are others." The words landed heavily. "But this one," he continued, "was the first built to stand alone. It carries the burden of introduction." Era understood. This ship was not only a weapon, it was a message. Elsewhere, resistance did not disappear entirely. In shadowed regions, remnants of the failed coalition whispered of revenge. They spoke of secret weapons and forbidden technologies. Desperation breeds dangerous ideas. Intelligence fragments reached Jihan. He warned Tae Seok, "They are searching for ways to bypass your defenses." T.C. Oak accepted the report calmly. "They will fail," he said, "but they may harm others trying." The human ship adjusted its patrol routes. It positioned itself near vulnerable systems, not as a guard, but as a warning. One such system housed a neutral medical world. Refugees from many conflicts gathered there. It had no defenses. When a rogue fleet approached, hoping to seize supplies, they found the human warship already waiting. No words were exchanged. The rogue fleet turned away immediately. Era watched from the observation deck. "You did nothing," she said. T-SEOK replied. "Presence is sometimes enough." Jihan arrived shortly after, carrying new orders. The coalition wished to formalize relations with humanity, not as subjects, not as rivals, as equals. The meeting was held in open space, neutral and visible. Representatives gathered aboard their own ships, linked by shared channels. Taesiok spoke plainly. "We accept partnership," he said, "but we will not be bound by indecision in moments of crisis." The coalition agreed. A new understanding formed. Humans would not rule. They would intervene only when balance was threatened beyond recovery. As the session ended, Jihan felt the weight lift slightly. "You have changed the galaxy," he said to T-SEOK. Taesiok shook his head. "The galaxy changed itself. We only responded." Later, Era prepared to leave the ship. She felt reluctance. She had seen something rare, a force shaped by loss, guided by discipline. Before departure, Heian spoke to her quietly. "Tell them the truth," she said. "We are not invincible. We are prepared." Era promised she would. As her vessel pulled away, she looked back at the human warship. It did not shine. It did not display symbols. It simply existed, steady and unmoved. Jihan stood beside her, watching as well. "History will argue about this moment," he said. Era nodded. "But it will not ignore it." Far from celebration, far from conquest, the human warship resumed its silent patrol. The galaxy was learning a difficult lesson. Strength did not need to shout. And humanity had learned how to endure. Time passed in a way the galaxy was not used to. There were no sudden alarms, no emergency councils called in panic. Borders remained stable. Trade continued without armed escorts. The presence of the human warship had reshaped behavior without issuing a single new command. Some called it the quiet era. Others called it the age of caution. For Jihan, it felt like standing on the edge of something unfinished. He traveled less now. His work had become reflective rather than reactive. Disputes were brought to him before weapons were armed. Leaders asked questions instead of making demands. Humanity had not joined the coalition formally, yet their influence was everywhere. Era returned to her research world and released her full report. It spread quickly. She wrote plainly, avoiding praise or fear. She described systems, decisions, history. The report ended with a single conclusion. Humans had learned survival better than anyone else. Reactions varied. Some worlds increased defenses. Others reduced fleets, choosing diplomacy instead. A few distant powers refused to accept the new reality and isolated themselves. The human warship continued its patrol alone. Inside its hull, Commander Taesiok reviewed long-range projections. Conflict indicators had dropped sharply. That was good. But stability often bred complacency. Captain Heian joined him on the command deck. "They are adapting," she said. "Some are copying our ideas." Taesiok nodded. "They will try." "Does that concern you?" she asked. "No," he replied. Understanding spread slower than imitation. A new signal arrived, not hostile, not fearful. A request. A distant civilization had encountered something ancient. A weapon left behind by a vanished empire. Its activation would destabilize an entire region. The coalition debated. Intervention risked awakening old terrors. Ignoring it risked collapse. They asked humanity for guidance. Taesiok considered the request carefully. "We will observe," he said. "We will not decide for them." The human warship changed course, not to command, but to witness. Jihan joined the observation remotely. He watched alien leaders struggle with choice. Power tempted them. Fear warned them. In the end, they dismantled the weapon. The human warship never fired a shot. That moment mattered more than any battle. Era watched the outcome from afar. She smiled faintly. Humanity was teaching without ruling. As cycles turned, stories replaced fear. Young officers trained under new doctrines that emphasized restraint. Civilians spoke of humans not as monsters, but as watchers. Still, not all lessons were accepted. A single faction, driven by pride and resentment, attempted one final act of defiance. They targeted the human warship directly. Deploying experimental weapons meant to disrupt space itself. The attack was sudden and reckless. The human ship absorbed the distortion, systems flexing, adapting in real time. Damage reports flashed briefly, then stabilized. Taesiok did not retaliate immediately. He opened a channel. "Stand down," he said. "This path ends badly." The attackers refused. The response was swift and final. The human warship isolated the experimental systems and collapsed them inward. The weapons vanished. The attacking ships were left powerless, adrift but alive. No further attempts followed. The message was complete. Afterward, the human warship slowed its patrols. Other human vessels began appearing at extreme distances, never close, never threatening. Just enough to be known. Humanity was no longer a question. Jihan stood once more at a viewing window, watching stars drift past. "They changed everything without claiming anything," he said quietly. Era, beside him through a shared channel, replied, "That is why it worked." On the human ship, Heian reviewed the latest reports. "The galaxy is stable," she said. "For now," Taesiok answered. He issued a new order. The lead warship would withdraw from constant patrol. Humanity would step back, allowing the galaxy to stand on its own with the lesson learned. The decision surprised many. Taesiok explained it simply. Dependence is another kind of weakness. The human warship sent a final open transmission. Across coalition space, humanity does not seek rule. Humanity does not seek fear. Humanity seeks balance. If balance fails, we will return. The message ended. The ship turned toward deep space. Its engines bent light gently, leaving no flare, no scar. It vanished into darkness. For a long time, no one spoke. Jihan felt the weight of the moment settle. The galaxy had been warned, protected, and released. Era archived her final notes. "They trusted us to remember," she said. History would argue about motives. Scholars would debate intent. Legends would grow and distort the truth, but the core would remain. Once, a single human warship entered deep space. It did not conquer, that did not rule. Not the galaxy, where the line was. And for the first time in a long while, the stars felt quiet, not because of fear, but because of understanding.